wasn't making the steps to make it stop. And so when I used narcissistic kryptonite, I started demanding, not asking, requesting, begging for, demanding accountability. That was her breaking point, and that's when I had to accept that she was never going to change.
Yeah.
That every day I'm with her, I'm going to be mad because she never takes the accountability and never took the responsibility. So I just made that call that we're done. And then like a few weeks later, 2 or 3 weeks later, I unblocked her just long enough to message her and be like, your bio, you need to take my name out of your bio, like right now. Like, you don't need to be like false advertising that like I'm your girlfriend, because I'm not.
Yeah.
And then I reblocked her. Like, like I'm gonna say my piece. It's a one-way conversation, and I don't want a response. Just do what I said. And it got done. That was it. And I haven't like heard from her since, but I I forget how I can, maybe I got curious. I don't know. I found that somewhere in Discord. Um and I was just like, "Oh, wild. Okay." And I went there, and yeah, it before it was a landing page that said, "Oh, she didn't have the money to like keep the site up, so she needed a few more months to like, or another month. She was going to get it up in January. Now it's February and it says services terminated. Like she, it's not online anymore.
And I'll be done by it.
Yeah, it'll be gone by April. It won't even exist." And that's amazing to me. Like, because she's not a person who's going to change her own destiny. You know what I mean? She's not a person who's going to realize, I have a problem and I need to take steps to get on top of it so that I don't have this problem. She just exists within it. It's, forests and trees and all that. You don't see it.
Tough love isn't being tough on the person you love to try and make them better. Tough love is tough love because you love a person and you've recognized that the best thing that you can do is walk away. That's what makes it difficult. I've seen it reflected in a number of people's lives. One of the people that was absolutely closest to me over the longest period of time, and I'm talking like a chosen important person, like a friend, like a partner, not like a family member. And I was the last person that person pushed out of their lives. I was the most meaningful person to them at that period of time, and therefore the hardest one for them to push away. And I understood that I was distinctly different because they made an effort to push everybody else away, whereas they just had an inability to confront me and left before I could deal with that problem. But what that meant was that left me in a place where I didn't know the full gravitas of the situation and was still searching for this person. And inevitably I found them, and when I arrived, the authority individuals in this context here instantly and very happily made me like, they were like, this is now your problem, you know what I mean? We want nothing more to do with it. And I was left with the problem being like this, this person who at the time was like the most important person in my life. And even in that moment, and I could see how fucked up things were, I could see how, because I've just found them after walking through the wake of destruction that they'd left behind in their very effective means of separating themselves from every individual in their life. I still felt like, even in that moment, I was like, now I'm the last person capable of helping this person, and it's my duty more than ever to take responsibility for that person and to convince them that they will be safe and they will be okay in the future if they come with me now and let me deal with them. But what was important for that person at the time was to not have anybody, never mind the person they respect or anticipate offering support the most, giving them that net, because that net was just more enabling behavior. They didn't find the strength to push me away the way they did everybody else, even though they knew that they needed to. And when I found them, that's the moment that happened. And when that happened, I was like, okay, I see now. I had to find it out in the worst way possible, but in that moment I realized, I was like, I can't help you. You want to push everybody away, including me, and I had to say to them, like, I understand. And you can blame me if you want. If you want to spend the rest of your life saying, like, this is all because I didn't help you right now in this moment, fine. But I do understand. And so now I'm going to leave. And when I leave, you will be truly alone. And that will be your last opportunity to either fix it for yourself or fail to do so. Because there won't be anybody there to pick you up when you fall. And I left. And that was that.
Yeah.
It happens.
That reminds me of two things. A, that chick I was talking about, you know, like I mentioned, she was on Suboxone and stuff, and I had told her straight up, like, I laid down a list of, like, boundaries when I was, like, starting to, like, hold her accountable. And one of those things was, like, I am not going to give you money to purchase drugs that I myself would not do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if
Don't
you want
have
money
and
for
wouldn't
weed,
take.
I totally get that. I totally get that. You need money to feed your Suboxone addiction? Do not come to me. I'm not going to enable that. And at some point, she did ask me for money, and that was a serious tipping point for me. Also, that situation you described really reminds me of, like, sort of how, like, you and I fell out for a while, like, when I started transitioning. Because, like, it was a weird point in my life, right, where I had been that person who pushed every single person out of my life, and it's for no other reason than I was in pain, right? That I had been traumatized, and now I, like, have severe fucking trust issues, and at, like, my core, some part of me needed to push people away at the first sign of any trouble before they could hurt me in any way that matters. And, like, on top of that, like, my egg was breaking and I was having an existential fucking crisis, you know what I mean? And, like, that perfect fucking storm of shit. Like, and I don't know, I think something happened in, like, Elite, which I was taking way too seriously at the time, and, like, I exploded. And you're like, nah, no, not doing that. And then, like a couple weeks later, I sent you, like, a very genuine apology, and you're like, I'll consider this.
I was like, I hear what you're saying, and there needs to be like a mandatory period of time in which I give it consideration rather than just being like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly, as it should be, really.
But for sure, I get it. But at least we like, because I'm the same. We've all been there. It's one of those things, and some of us do it more than others. And I mean, if you're the kind of, if this describes you as an individual, then you probably are the kind of person that does this as well. But when you're feeling like shit, if your way of like fucking up is self-destruction, then you are very much a candidate for the kind of person who every time, if it's serious, or the more serious it is, the more likely you are to really just push back at any support from anybody.
Mm, yeah, it's amazing. So, right there, as you were saying that, the audio cut out, and I turned up your stream, and you're still talking. But, like, I didn't hear that over Discord.
I was just saying, like, yeah. if you're the kind of person who is self-destructive when you're feeling like you're at your lowest, then you're 100% a candidate for the individual who will consistently push all support networks or people that mean the most to you, like, away from you when you're in one of those moments.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, this comes back to something I feel like I was talking about a couple days ago, right? But like, you know, everybody goes through something, and it's okay to be, like, hurt, you know, it's okay to grieve, it's okay to experience, you know, to feel bad in a situation that evokes pain, right? But then at some point in the depression, you have to realize that you could have had a bad moment instead of a bad day, instead of a bad week, instead of a bad month. And at some point, it becomes a choice to continue to feel that way.
Yeah. And that does start off as a very manual thing, like effort is needed in life. Like, if you don't want life to be shit, you will have to exert some effort in it. Like, don't want to exert effort into anything, then you have to be willing to accept that like things are going to be subpar, and a large part of that is your own doing.
Mhm. 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 Yeah.
It's force forming
And I
practical
mean,
habits. I've been doing that my whole life.
yeah. And it's like sometimes I need to feel that way. Sometimes I like just need to listen to sad music and cry.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Just
Yeah.
'cause it feels good in that moment.
It's
But then
okay to
like,
feel what you feel, like acknowledge it and let
yeah,
it happen. You're just not supposed to like once you start
yeah,
feeling it and you let it happen, like that's okay, let it be a moment. Don't just like latch
yeah,
onto it and be like, oh, because I feel this way now, I'm gonna
yeah,
accept that, I'm gonna feel this way forever. And now every
yeah.
decision I make is based
When
off of that.
when the moment's over, just have a different moment.
Duh.
Duh. What a concept. Wow.
Sometimes things in life are that simple though. That sounds very insensitive, and I'm like it could do to somebody who doesn't appreciate the entire context. I'm somebody who's like typically inclined to be very like I think I probably have an extra degree of understanding and a little bit more patience for somebody who might be feeling something that like I've been through myself and have an understanding for. But as somebody who has been through that themselves, and is now capable of not only recognizing but saying out loud, I made changes and my life has improved. It
Mhm.
genuinely, no matter how hard it feels to do the thing that will change, that will make change come about, is a very swift and simple action. Like it's the difference between you sitting there and feeling a thing and like just bouncing off of those feelings, or standing up and saying, I just felt that way, it was because of this thing. Compartmentalize it, put it in its drawer and then move on to another action. Like, it sounds weird and vague. When I like traveling is a good example of this though, right? Because we were just saying earlier, like a lot of people in America, they don't have their passport, like they spend most of their time just traveling around in America, this that or the next thing. There's a lot of people in Britain that have never left Britain. There's a lot of people in like in little English villages down in England that have never left the village. They know there's like 60 people there. Everybody knows each other's names. It's families that have lived there for generations. They don't have a passport. They've never left the village, never mind the country. But when I went traveling, I started like taking pictures and putting it on Instagram, and I'm having all these wonderful experiences, and it's amazing. People instantly started going like, "Oh, that's so cool! Like, I'm so happy for you. I wish I could do that." And I'm like, who do you think I am, though? Like, what do you mean you wish
Mhm.
you could do that? What do you think I did? Do you think I had like 10 grand sitting in my bank and I'm going on luxurious holidays, traveling from country to country, living in 5-star hotels, eating wonderful meals? When I went to Amsterdam, I was £1,500 in debt. I had no money, no prospect, no job, nowhere to live, and I didn't speak the language. I lived out of a box for 3 months. I found a job. I got a full-time work contract. I got my own apartment. I made friends. I said yes to everything that did not endanger my immediate health and well-being. I came out of my shell. I said, well, I'm here. I've made it this far. I've managed to get, because at the end of the day, like, because some people are still going to hear that and say to themselves, yeah, but you still need money to do this. Do you know how much a flight, if you book it at the right time, do you know how much a flight from Scotland to Amsterdam is?
No clue.
26 quid. And it takes 45 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes to get there. And you will leave the British Isles and you will be on mainland Europe, right in the heart of the continent. And you can then travel from there overland for almost no expense. It's really not the issue that it's too expensive. It's the issue is that you decided that the only way you could do that is if you had all that money and you booked that flight that's going to cost you that much, and you go to that place. You were never going to do it. So instead, you're just putting up like 1,000,001 different hurdles. I wish I could do that. You can do that. You can do that. Anybody can do that. Genuinely, spend. You don't even have to get a job. Go and spend like 3 days grifting people, begging if you want to. I guarantee you can get enough money to get out of the country. Like, not everybody can. America's different. Like, if you're in America and you have no passport and you're like the subject of your government, like the current office, certain individuals now are going to have a harder time than ever